Hello everyone, Shannon Guss here getting you ready for our episode 8 X interview for Australian Survivor Australia versus the World. If you have not seen the Monday night episode 8, keep it moving. This is not the space for you. We're about to spoil you. If you have seen it, drumroll please, pause for impact, please leave if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you know Lisa got voted out. We spoke to Lisa to get some of her thoughts on a tricky endgame for her and some of the game as well. So hope you enjoy that. My X interview with Tommy is out. I don't have an X interview with Cass at this time. I'm hoping to get one later in the week, hoping to get for the Tuesday night episode as well. Recaps with Chappelle are out. I'm here. I'm doing it. There's a lot of content. Chappelle, the recap with Chappelle is out. The recap with Puya is out. The recap with Mike for Tuesday night will be out. Then we'll have a Rob video reacting to the week. We also have a patron call-in show, a Q&A, happening Tuesday night ET, Wednesday morning Australia time, Sydney time. So if you're a patron or if you want to be a patron, check that out. Cheesy raffle as well. Only a few days left. Get your entries in, okay? This is the time. Don't be the person who's like, damn it, in a week from now, I wish I had points that I could give to probably JLP, let's be honest. So thank you guys for checking all of that out. WeKnowGlobalSurvivor.com. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow me at Shannon Gates for all of the content. Thank you all for following along with us for the season. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. Bye. Lisa, nice shirt. Pride of Spoken shirt. I've got the RHAP shirt in honor of you and your win, obviously. How are you doing today?
Yes, I'm doing awesome. I'm doing so awesome. How are you doing?
I'm so grateful to talk to you as always. Always a joy to speak to you. I have questions. Let's start with Suri, right? That's where we both always want to start.
Oh, who?
I think you might have heard of her. She's quite a big deal in the survival world to some
Maybe,
people.
maybe.
Um, the internationals were a big priority for you. Suri was a big priority. Choose one. Tell me about that dynamic. Like how is that? How are you managing those different priorities? Who is the priority to you?
Um, well, as much as it doesn't seem like that on TV, I'm the priority. But
Right.
then,
Yeah. But for you.
but then, um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I never really like quantified it in that way. It's like you're always managing a mix of relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I was never going to go against Sari, whereas I think a time might have come when I would have. Yeah, I guess if you're going to rank it by people I would never go against, I'm at the top, then Sari, then Tommy and Cass are tied.
Yeah. Like if you guys go back to tribal council after Tony goes, does Tommy go? Like have you thought about what that looks like?
Yes, I would really try and get Parvati out at that point, I think.
Right.
But it's difficult because the time the time to talk to anyone is so limited in this format, like so limited, that you really need to do a lot of groundwork to work out if Suri will flip on Parvati, to work out if Cass is playing me or if Cass is playing Parvati. And it was very difficult to get to those sort of points, those social points with the constraints that there were.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Tommy yesterday, and he said that the plan was not to go for Parvati at that tribal council, that you guys had pulled him back into voting for Shawnee because you were so not into it, and Cass was so not into voting for Parvati. So I understand why you feel like you've been tied with that brush where, you're trying to help Parvati. You really were trying to help her. How do you reconcile that with like going to the Australians and saying to vote for Parvati? Like, what was your interpretation of that day? And then I guess we'll get into that night as well.
Yeah. So I wasn't telling them to vote for Parvati. So it's sort of, yeah, it's that not, okay, goodness me. It was so much.
It's a lot.
Basically, we came back from the tribe, from the immunity, and I said, great, this is our chance to go on Luke. And Parvati just would not do that, wouldn't consider it for a second. And I was, yeah, like, couldn't really understand why at the time, but then soon after, really understood.
Hmm.
And then, so we decided to go on Shawnee, and then this is my memory of it, but it was a very stressful time.
Yeah.
Then Tomei said, I want to go on Parvati. And we were like, oh no. Then just before the we had to go, he comes back and he's like, I've got the numbers. I've talked to everyone, like, we're going on Parvati. And I was like, wow, okay, well, don't love that, but okay. And then I sort of ended up in this situation where I was with Shawnee and Luke, and I was like, okay, well, and it's sort of complicated, but we had this whole thing where I've been building this whole thing with them, not a real thing, but like, like the World Tribe had plans on top of plans on top of plans on top of plans. So in some layer of these plans, I was like working with them and trying to get out people. So I was like, okay, I'll say that I know about it, but for a lot of reasons, I'll say that I'm not going to do it. Like, yeah, and then it all just went everywhere. Oh my God.
Yeah, what was your perspective in that tribal council? We see that like for a while you're not getting up, and then eventually you do get up, and then you throw Tommy under the bus, and then Cass plays an idol on you, and then she goes home, and then there's a challenge, and then you're like, I want to leave. I think I got that. I think I got it all, and then Tommy goes.
Yeah.
Talk me
Well,
through it.
I was getting up as well. Yeah, it's sort of, God, it's just so much to get into,
I'm happy to
especially,
do more after the season, but whatever you can
yeah,
give me right now.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I had a whole plan going in, which then I couldn't do, and it was really overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty, I'm pretty good at some points in being able to sort of corral my nervous system to like, do what you need it to do at the time. But yeah, like for me, like a lot of people, I think, just because of experiences I've had in my life, being yelled at by guys, I don't do great with it. Um, and yeah, so I did sort of, it was just really difficult. It was a really difficult night.
Yeah. What went into your thinking for wanting to leave? Like, I think we've spoken about like how like part like you do almost regret taking out Matt in your first season, despite the fact that it was brilliant and it gives you the win, but it hurt you to do that. Was that, as you said, like kind of leaning into that idea and how much you cared about Tommy in that moment?
Um, a little bit. I felt a little bit guilty because, like I said, I wasn't sure that Cass was really with me. And then, then
She
like she plays
was.
an idol. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that was, gosh, yep. Maybe I should stick by this a bit more. I think there's a whole lot of factors going into it, and obviously you can't discuss a whole bunch of it. But I knew I knew I wasn't going to be able to immunity my way to the end, and I knew that Tommy might have been able to.
Right. And you
Uh,
thought that would give
There's a
you,
lot more, but that's
yeah.
one of them. And I've always said that even on my original season, I said, don't get to the end if you can't win. Like, I think it's quite easy to get to the end of Survivor, but to get to the end and be able to win, that's where the, you know, that's what you want to do.
That's the
And if you
money
can't,
shot.
yeah, and if you can't do that, then I think, do your best to affect the game in ways you can, and then like get out of the way of the people who can win, I would say.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that as well. What about those Australians? You said there were plans on top of plans. Like, who were the people of the Australians that you most connected with and that you were most working with?
Um, well, no one really, but like to their mind, some of them.
Yeah, who,
Like I was
who?
never, some people, yeah, it was never in my mind to have any Australians at the end. Like well, it's confusing. Yeah, no, I would have liked to have some of them at the end. I don't know. I don't want to go into like certain people and what I thought about them or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, what were your end game plans? Like, who did you think about sitting with?
Well, ideally, I think a final three of me, Tommy, and Cass. I think that would have been good and fair and fine. Um, yeah, don't want to sit at the end with Parvati or Luke, I would say. Sari would have been difficult to that's a whole different thing that I still wasn't fully reconciled with what I would do at the time on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the Rob vote, taking it all the way back there? We thought, you were completely a swing vote within that. I felt like you had full control over that, probably with Cass as well. Between Parvati and Rob, and now Parvati is dominating so much. How did you look at that decision?
Um, before you So they've got a confessional of me, which they didn't put on TV. Um, when basically the very first thing I say in the game is, I want Rob out.
Right.
And that's what I did. Um,
Yeah.
I guess I, it's, it is, hmm, um, ah, he was, uh, what I think it's really important to be respectful in Survivor of everyone. I think I couldn't believe that anyone would come into a game of like returning players, some of whom had won, some of whom had played heaps of times, and think that an okay way to talk to people and stuff is what he was doing. And I've just like no amount of money is worth it to me to spend time or platform someone like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess on the other side of that, yeah, seeing Suri, talk me through those feelings of, I mean, we saw a lot of it, and obviously you were very much the voice of the fandom in that, but I don't think you thought Suri was there coming out onto the show, and then she was. Can you talk me through, yeah, the thought process of how that recalibrates in your brain for everything happening and what your feelings were about that?
Um, oh, I just, it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I'd heard a rumor that she was on, but then she wasn't on, and I was just like, well, of course she won't be on. Like, I didn't
That would be
even
too
like,
great.
yeah, of course, like, unbelievable that she would be on. So I didn't really, yeah, it's just like something so cool you just can't sort of allow yourself to think that it might happen. And then she was there, and it did happen. And it was really a dream come true. And anyone who's been a big fan of someone or really admired someone can imagine what it would be like to just rock up and that person's there and you're just like hanging out with them for a certain amount of time. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we see some of the things she says about you. I feel like, it's hard to get a sense of like the whole relationship. But she says she really likes you. She says losing you is damn near like losing poverty. She says when you're on the way out, she's glad to have met you and she hopes to see you on the outside. Like, what was that dynamic like in the game between the two of you?
Cere's just such a great person to play Survivor with, shockingly. Cere's a great
No
person
way.
to play Survivor with because she's she's so sensible. She understands everything. She's not she doesn't say too much, she doesn't say too little. She's just such a good person to have. Like you can like exchange a look and you're like, yeah, I've yeah, I know what she's okay, yeah, we've got it. Like at the very first episode, I think when she's talking to Parvati and then they're like, okay, well, like we're tight, but we're not going to talk. And she's just like, yeah. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what you want. You just need that sort of understanding that you're good with someone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's great.
One of my favorite moments between the two of you was in the Kirby vote, where your name's put out there, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want Lisa to think Sari is part of that because she wasn't, and her name is put out there, and you're both kind of like, yep, and then it flashes to a like close up of each of you when your names are said, and you both hate that, and then you and Cass and Sari have a really clarifying conversation, and it goes to Kirby. Did you like fully trust that she had your back with any points where you were like, oh, like is Sari not with me? Because we see how much she invested in you, which was so lovely. And I just didn't want you at any time to think that that wasn't the case.
Not until not until the episode 7 tribal.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, like if this relationship isn't as strong as I think it is, then it's sort of like a fulcrum for a lot of other stuff. So not until then. I mean, you always have to be wary. Like, of course, I was like weary of her the whole time. Yeah, I'm sort of like weary of everyone, but they don't put you saying that on TV. Like, you know,
The
like,
Saray stuff
oh.
was very good content.
Yeah, very relatable content for a lot of people I've been hearing.
Yeah, I mean, you were very much like the voice of the fandom. I feel like people felt very seen by you. Like, how does it feel to represent us freaks out on the island?
First of all, we're not freaks. We're just normal, very cool people who like Survivor a normal amount.
Normal amount.
It's really nice. Like a big part of reason why humans play games is to achieve community, like is to meet like-minded people, be able to do the things that they value, and be able to sort of play in that space. And I've really appreciated how many people have said, how much they liked watching me and how they could really identify with me. And yeah, so that's always really nice to hear. Like any person likes hearing other people say, I get you, and I feel like I'm like you. So it was really nice.
It is very nice to be understood. I feel like many of us feel like there are people in our real lives, people we're very close to, who don't understand this whole side of us. And yet we have found like a community that gets it, like en masse. I feel like we're all very lucky to have that. And I feel like you did represent that. Was there like a highlight of, I mean, obviously meeting Suri, but we see you crying at the merge and the auction. Was there any part of it that was really special for you, Suri aside, possibly, if possible?
Um, no, like I don't think I could single out a single thing. It was this huge, like complicated, multifaceted um experience. One thing it helped me to appreciate Survivor New Zealand
Oh,
um in a different way, like
yeah.
in so much more. Like that was sort of, yeah, highlight for me.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, Lisa, speaking of Survivor New Zealand, we started this journey together. You won Survivor, and I started podcasting. Yours was bigger than mine. But I wanted to say, like, I was so grateful not just to have someone win the season wearing the RHAP shirt, but to watch someone who was, pragmatic and self-aware and really kind, a woman win the show in that way was a great way for my journey to start. And then to carry that through to you playing AUV World and living out a dream that, so many of us might have, or to see that represented on screen. It was such like a perfect continuation of that journey for me 7+ years later. So always a joy to speak to you and to watch you and sending you a lot of love.
Thank you, Shannon. It was so nice to talk to you. I appreciate you a lot.
Bye, Lisa. Thanks. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.